with Kyle Evans. Kyle Evans.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of the internet. Welcome back, Thundercat. We are back for another episode of G.R.O.W Show, your daily checkup from the neck up. The first week of the year, we talked about setting the tone. What is it going to look like? We checked in with our brains, with our minds, with our decisions. This week, we're talking about action, how to get tactical in our businesses and our sales as entrepreneurs. Today, we're going to talk about discovery and control, essentially why slowing down can create better decision-making processes. You know, yesterday we talked about the first 60 seconds, how to come in and turn heads, how to drop walls, how to be relevant. Today, we're going to go a little deeper. What happens next? And one of the reasons that this is important, at least in my opinion, obviously that's why you're here, is because I think that most sales conversations fail because we don't slow down and discover what's important. We don't slow down and discover what the motivation is of the client, of the customer, of the consumer, what their actual motivation is. You know, a lot of times agents or salespeople, they get into the habit of telling. One of my old coaches used to say, selling isn't telling, selling is asking questions. So I think a lot of sales, a lot of processes, these conversations, they fail because discovery phase never happens, nor sometimes it's never pronounced enough. It's never deep enough. What most people call discovery is really just a nice introduction followed by their pitch. Like, let's be real. It's not discovery. That's a pitch. Like, I really want you to get into the thought process, the mindset of, how do we not just gather information? How do we get the truth as they see it? How do we get the idea and the relevance of the story that they're living, that they want to come true, the things that they desire to happen? Well, here's the paradox. Like, all that sounds great, but the paradox that most people fall for is that slower conversation, slowing down to do the discovery. The slower the conversation feels, the faster decisions happen. The slower the conversation feels, the faster decisions happen. The paradox or the counterintuitiveness of that is why most of us fail. We feel like if it's too slow, we feel like if we're diving deep in this, that we're losing the sale, that we need to go fast, we need to knock it out. But the reason that a slow conversation, a nice pace discovery works is that when anxiety is low, decision-making is high. And for anxiety to be low, we have to bring clarity. Where a lot of people go wrong, in my opinion, is that they go for high pressure situations. They try to be, no offense to my car people out there, like the used car salesman of the 80s and 90s, like pressure, word tracks, language patterns, let's get them in. Pressure clouds clarity. Pressure clouds clarity. Clarity is the precursor to commitment. We've got to learn how to control in the discovery. Now, when I say control, It triggers some people. They use that definition to think of it as malicious or with malintent or manipulative. Guys, control simply for this, it doesn't mean dominance, it means containment. How can we contain the conversation to fit the narrative that the person is looking to accomplish? Like, how can we be calm enough, contained enough, if you will, to hold the right space without rushing to fix stuff, rushing to over explain, rushing to tell, rushing to rescue? The moment we stop rescuing, the moment we slow down and get to what the actual driving factor is, people will start revealing. Too many times, salespeople, agents, entrepreneurs, you fall for the smoke and you don't actually dive down to what's the fire underneath. You got to slow down in the discovery phase to let them actually reveal. To reveal the fire, you have to ask appropriate questions. Neurology matters in all this. When people study decision-making psychology, it shows that people are more likely to commit to outcomes they verbalize themselves. It's why Gary Keller, the mustachio mogul himself, says authorship is ownership. Inside of coaching, our goal is to get the client to say the commitment. Why? Because the outcome or the commitment to the outcome drastically raises when the other person verbalizes it themselves. When someone hears their own voice articulate a reason, a fear, a consequence, the commitment, it begins to code it as a truth, not a suggestion. Which means every time we jump in early, every time we author it for them, you're stealing ownership. Ownership is what closes deals. Everybody wants to be led. Nobody wants to be told what to do. Everyone wants to be led. No one wants to be told what to do. We have to let them own this themselves. I want you to think about it like this. The prospect, the client, the consumer, the potential person during the discovery phase is sorting through three things internally the entire time. Very simply, number one, you've heard me say it before, I'll say it till I die. Do I feel safe? Am I safe right now? The second one, do I feel understood? Do they actually understand what I'm going through, how I see the world, my motivations, my desires, my goals, my fears? Do I feel understood? And the third person is, do I trust this person to lead me? They're asking themselves consciously or subconsciously the entire time through your discovery phase, these three things. And if you are speeding through with some pre-programmed sales pitch, you're not answering those questions. Or maybe you are answering them, you're just answering them wrong. None of these questions, do I feel understood? Do I feel safe? Do I trust this person to lead me? Are answered with salesiness. They're answered by restraint, the restraint of pitching. They're answered by actually pausing, paying attention, asking questions, using the discovery. Most salespeople lose in the discovery. One of the times, probably the major time, that most of them lose in the discovery is when they hit a point of discomfort. They hit that pain point. When this happens, you need to pause. You need to take a long breath, and you need to not rush to save them. Because when you rush in a discomforting moment to save, you're not letting them author their future. You're not letting them pause in it to truly appreciate their circumstances. When you rush, when you panic, the person gets confused, essentially. Like salespeople, when they hear hesitation, they go internal and they act from scarcity instead of abundance. And you hear hesitation in your prospect and you rush to reassure them, you rush to repitch them. When you hear uncertainty, you rush to over explain. When you hear emotion, you rush to put them back in normalcy. Reassurance, rushing and reassurance before clarity creates confusion. Silence, pausing, letting the moment breathe, when used correctly, creates gravity. Keyword is when used correctly. Don't just sit there quietly when they're expecting an answer from you. But I want you to understand the core principle that I'm driving at here this morning, this Wednesday. More often than not, whoever talks the least holds the frame. Not theatrically, not using manipulation, but the person who's patient, the person who's confident, the person who is in control of themselves. Silence communicates confidence. Confidence creates safety. Safety invites truth. It's that simple, yet it's that hard because it's uncomfortable, not just for the person, it's uncomfortable for you. We rush to fill every breath, every second with words because silence can be icky. But I want you to slow down. Now, I don't want to just give you theory here. I want to give you some actual tools, some questions that you can put into your tool belt, that you can put into your quiver. They're not clever, they're not cutesy, but they're sequence tools. So, discovery question number one: what prompted you to start thinking about this now? What prompted you to start thinking about this now? Now, here's the trick, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of the internet. When you ask these questions, I want you to pretend um, like the thing that they say is extremely important. Here's why. Because it is extremely important. And I was just kidding. Don't pretend. Like, actually pay attention. The things that they are saying is important. You need to act that way. What prompted you to start thinking about this now? This question is going to establish timing and emotion. What you're listening for. What was the trigger? What's the pain point? What's the life moment? What is the sequence of events that brought us to this moment together? This is going to help you understand, is this consult, is this strategy session, is this conversation, is it urgency or is it simply curiosity? That's going to dictate a lot for you. Don't rush this question. Don't just take the surface level answer. Ask more prodding things when they start talking. Wow, okay, interesting. Walk me through that through your eyes. Tell me more about that. Let it breathe. Discovery question number two. This is a big one. What happens if nothing changes? What happens if nothing changes? This isn't some scare tactic, it's a mirror. It's asking them to actually author what happens if nothing changes. Hold the mirror up, let them look at it. You're inviting them to articulate the cost of inaction in their own words. If they minimize, you don't correct, you observe. You observe. Discovery question number three. Man, how long have you been sitting with that? How long have you been sitting with that pain point? How long have you been sitting with that? This is going to reveal to you potential delay patterns. It's going to help shine a light on how they make decisions, how they avoid decisions, how long they're willing to sit with fear or discomfort. Time exposes truth. Time exposes truth. Discovery question number four. On a scale of 1 to 10, how serious do you feel about this today? On a scale of 1 to 10, how serious does this feel today? How do you feel about this today? This question forces a self assessment, not your urgency, theirs. Whatever number they give you, it's not for you to react. You're not going to assign morality to preference. A 5 is not bad. A 7 is not good. A 10 is not great or bad. It's just information. It's just information. The follow up and final of these 5 discovery questions, if it's a 5, if it's a 7, if it's a 6, what would make it a 10? What would make it a 10? And then what I want you to do is stop talking and listen. Listen. This is the pivot point. This question moves most people from description to ownership. It reveals missing certainty. It reveals maybe missing information that they have. It might show missing confidence. It might show missing readiness because of life. Most salespeople destroy this moment by over talking. Silence here is not awkward. Get out your own head. It's productive. It is your job to listen. Here's a rule that I need you to tattoo right there on your brain so you don't forget it. If you interrupt silence, you interrupt their insight. If you interrupt silence, you interrupt insight. I'm not talking with you. I mean, I'm not talking at you. I'm talking with you. This is something I have to constantly caution myself on because I'm a high D and I'm a talker, obviously. Stop interrupting silence. Let them think. Let them process. Let the gears turn in their head. This is where the magic lies. If you interrupt silence, you interrupt insight. Stop trying to fix every situation, every second, every breath. They say something uncertain and you respond with this. That makes sense. What most people do is blah, blah, blah. You just hijack their process. That makes sense. Here's the answer. Blah, blah, blah. Like you're hijacking it. Instead, say, tell me more about that. Help me understand that better. This keeps them talking. It keeps them discovering. It keeps them living in insight. It keeps them authoring. And authorship is ownership. This is a do with process. And I think that most salespeople miss that. They're serving their own agenda instead of the consumers, instead of what's actually important to them. Shame on you. Stop it. Zig Ziglar has famously said, and it gets quoted all the time, if you can help other people get what they desire, you can have anything in this life. But it starts with the other person. And to understand, to truly understand how to help them, how to serve them, we've got to slow down and ask these questions. We've got to slow down and let silence give them insight. We've got to slow down and let them author it. Sales at the highest level is not convincing anyone of anything. It's creating an environment to where they can convince themselves, to where they can commit to the thing for them. It's not your job to sound smart. It's your job to create a steady foundational place for them to decide what's right for them. Today's assignment, should you choose to accept it, is I want you to ask one question at a time. Let them breathe. Don't stack. Don't ask multiple questions in one sentence. Don't rescue. When they finish talking, I want you to count to 3 in your brain before you jump in. One of the things I've learned as a consultant, as a coach, as a speaker is most breakthroughs happen in the pause. By the way, I'm not just talking about business here. I'm talking about inside of your home. the conversations you have with your kids, with your spouse, with your loved ones, with your friends, most breakthroughs happen in the pause. When you feel the third step, when you feel the urge to explain, to overtalk, I want you to ask a question instead. A lot of times, over explaining reveals your discomfort. Questions help them create their clarity. Guys, tomorrow we move into objections, not how to overcome them, how to wrestle them, but how to interpret them. Because one of the key foundational pieces that most people miss is that objections are not rejection. The requests for more information, the requests for clarity, the requests for leadership. But that's tomorrow. Today, I want you to slow down. Today, I want you to hold space. Today, I want you to ask questions because the person who slows the conversation controls the frame. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of the internet, happy Wednesday to you. I'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning.
Grow with Kyle Evans. Grow with Kyle Evans.